For many Chicago area homeowners, the Great Recession of 2008 never really ended. Yes, several neighborhoods along the lakefront and west of the Loop have seen jumps in home prices, but in the south suburbs, those values have never recovered. In some places, such as South Suburban Harvey, they are actually getting worse.
We're at 147th and Cooper here in Harvey, Illinois. And what we're seeing is an area where there are vacant properties. There have been properties that have literally been abandoned by the investors and boarded up.
Robert Sanders, who grew up on Chicago's South Side, is now a supervising counselor at the South Suburban Housing Center. The agency helps homeowners who are at risk of losing their properties. Sanders says the housing crash of 2008 has had a lasting impact on communities such as Harvey.
It saddens me. When I came up as a child, this was the place where we like to come to Dixie Square Mall and other areas. Now, you don't want to come to Harvey because all of these things are gone.
What was once a stable, blue-collar suburb is now plagued with boarded-up homes, abandoned as a result of the foreclosure crisis. Census data show Harvey has one of the area's highest rates of vacant structures, 1 in 4 residences.
It's been a severe impact in this area of Harvey. Harvey in general has taken between 2005 and 2015 an 80% decline in housing value.
Harvey is one of 37 south suburbs where property values are still below where they were in 2005. In communities such as Calumet City, Blue Island, and Stager, the average price for homes and condominiums remains more than 50% below where they were a decade ago. And in Markham, the town neighboring Harvey, the average home price has fallen 68%. Research from the Institute for Housing Studies at DePaul University shows Cook County's top 10 towns for foreclosures are all in the south suburbs. Jeff Smith, the Institute's executive director, says these communities are still struggling to recover, in part because of high concentration of subprime mortgages. Those loans were issued to people with poor credit ratings.
These are, typically communities of color on the south side of the city, the west side of the city, South Suburban Cook County, West Suburban Cook County. Those are areas that have, again, really saw high concentrations of subprime lending activity, have seen long-term high levels of foreclosure activity. And these are areas where the impact of that foreclosure activity is still very, very apparent, and they have not recovered.
To help these homeowners facing foreclosure, the federal government authorized $46 billion for loan modifications and loan refinancing programs. But the Inspector General's office shows for borrowers who sought mortgage relief, the default rate is still nearly 53%. Dennis Rodkin, the residential real estate reporter for Crain's Chicago, says that for many homeowners, it has been a lost decade.
A lot of people who had a loan modification then fell back into it because, again, our values didn't rise, so it was still a struggle to pay, and the house wasn't recovered, the value of the house wasn't recovering. So loan modifications helped individual homeowners in many cases, but you can't really call them a solution for this market.
Rodkin cautions that some homeowners may never recover. He worries there could be another wave of foreclosures down the road.
I think if we watch the horizon, you can expect that there could be more foreclosures in some of those areas south of the city where home values have stayed so low, and where, if I get a new job in Arizona, in Texas, I may just have to go.
Meanwhile, the services of the South Suburban Housing Center remain in high demand. Since Sanders started working there a year ago, the number of people looking for help has doubled, and he believes the foreclosure crisis is far from over.
I don't think that the first foreclosure crisis is over. Some of those families may have needed to be transitioned out of that home instead of being allowed to stay in that home.
The research company RealtyTrack says 1 in 4 homes with a mortgage in the Chicago area is seriously underwater. That means the owner owes at least 25% more than their property is worth.